Leading up to my TV renaissance, which was in July, when some of my favourite TV shows like Interview with the Vampire, House of the Dragon and The Bear came back on TV, I felt like I was winning, but it turns out I was actually going to be left bitterly disappointed, especially by The Bear. I, like most people who watched season 3, wasn't satisfied with the direction they went with the season, and making this video, I'm aware that not much happened because the plot was lacking. This in addition to the fact that all of the episodes are released at once, allowing people to binge watch, which did make a lot of the episodes kind of intertwine into each other for me. But the Bear episodes being released all at once might have actually been a saving grace for the show, because if this season was being released weekly like traditional TV, it would have felt even more hugely disappointing than it already does. Some of these episodes are literally just montages, as in nothing pushing the plot forward happens. Imagine waiting weekly for that. It would only further highlight the weaknesses of the season and would be immensely unsatisfactory for the viewers. The only episodes that felt distinct were episode 8, Ice Chips, episode 6, Napkins, and episode 10, Forever. Episode 1 especially, and the majority of the episodes in this season felt like one giant montage of the Bear, showing us things we've already seen, telling us things we already know. I literally had to fast forward through some of the episodes because it felt like it was just dragging. The thing is though, even as season 3 isn't at the caliber of the first 2 seasons, there are still great elements that's still injected into the show. The acting is incredible, especially from the likes of Liza, Jeremy, Ayo and Ebon, and the directing choices were fantastic. As someone who briefly worked in a professional kitchen at a certain multiple Michelin-star luxury hotel group where Gordon Ramsay worked at, the writing for the heat and tension is so accurate and authentically done, it almost gave me PTSD. So this just shows the Bear still has the potential, but something in the production of season 3 went awfully wrong that led to the writers and the showrunners making all the wrong choices. They had all the right ingredients, but something was off.
The cook's off. Refire!
I saw some discussions that people have become used to plot-driven dramas as opposed to character-driven dramas, and I do agree to an extent. People have gotten used to having something constantly happening on screen. We have shorter attention spans thanks to TikTok, and most people watch movies and TV shows while doing other things, so they need the dialogues to keep track of what's happening without actually paying attention. However, although season 3 was mostly character driven, especially through Kami, a lot of it wasn't necessary. It didn't add anything either to the plot or the character development, or any further insights to the characters. It just felt like something to fill the runtime and episodes. I know we complain about shows needing to go back to more than 8 to 10 episodes, and trust me, I'm going to be going into that in my review of House of the Dragon. But season 3 of The Bear is the exception. That genuinely felt like it could have been 8 episodes, and that might have still been stretching it. It's taken me so long to make this video because I wanted the season to sit with me before making a hate video for a show I actually love, and because I know making a TV show isn't easy. It's incredibly difficult, and a show at the caliber of what The Bear has been involves a lot of incredibly talented people. Making a review about disliking their art is a lot easier than making their art. But I'm also of the opinion that we should be able to critique films and movies and any form of art as long as it's not just hating on it and the people who make them, but also sometimes a little hate is necessary. Which is why I stand with the Princess of Ireland.
Today I was actually thinking about one of my favorite scams of all time, because J-Lo is hosting or is performing at the Super Bowl halftime show.
She is, which is a scam in itself.
And her whole career is one long scam.
Oh, the longest con.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment. Now, come on now.
One thing I have to say is The Bear needs to relax with the amount of star power guest stars, which I had no issue with in season 2 because they felt purposeful, but in season 3 felt unnecessary and almost pretentious in a way that felt like this person is here because they can be, not because they need to be. And this is especially highlighted in episode 10, even though I actually really liked that episode because it culminated with Sid having a panic attack. exhibiting that Kami has turned Sid into him, while he's become the person he hates the most, Chef Winger. It was one of the few poignant moments of the season because throughout you could see the dynamics change between Kami and the rest of the chefs, and especially between Sid and Kami, who were more peers in their skills as chef and had a more formal background training in the kitchen. They had a different type of relationship, and it feels like, especially in the first 3-ish episode, that Kami's relationship with everyone was nothing but hostile.
Daniela quit, and Connor, and Joey, and Amy.
The fuck are Joey and Amy?
Servers. Why'd they quit?
Yeah, why'd they quit?
Because they didn't want to work in a, quote, dysfunctional kitchen.
He's almost become a shell of who he was, and he's made everyone around him miserable, and he can't even see that. It's bad enough he's not communicating with everyone else, but he's not even communicating with Sid, and they're supposed to be partners.
I guess I'll start with, what is this?
It's R&D.
You redid everything.
Yeah, well, I subtracted and I pushed.
But 5 minutes ago, I had Nat type and print up menus because I was told and she was told that the menu was locked. In that time, did you tell her or anyone else that the menu was not in fact locked? That there would be a change?
No, it's bad communication.
Yes, thank you.
He's changing menus, recipes, coming up with outrageous non-negotiables and ideas that he's not even passing through anyone, not even Uncle Jimmy, whose pockets the entire restaurant is funded on.
What's that?
Cryovac.
Why would we need a new cryovac?
Well, it's a better cryovac.
Better how?
What are you asking me?
To stop spending my fucking money. Don't think I'm not seeing these fancy new earthenware fucking hippie
Hers,
plates.
He's losing his temper more than is reasonable, even for a professional chef, and he's treating the people who stayed with him through everything, including not getting paid, like they're beneath him. He's sometimes so erratic, I ask myself if he's having a mental breakdown. And of course he is. Everyone else in the kitchen sacrificed just as much as he did for him, for his vision, his talent, only to now be disregarded, insulted and belittled on a regular basis. He's got Sid watching that clock for when she gets to leave while she's doing something she loves and is passionate about. He's becoming his mother, and the fact that sometimes when he acknowledges that he's messed up, he'll apologize to Sid and then recycle the same behavior. It's unintentionally manipulative because the season shows Sid grappling with whether she wants to stay at the Bear, especially when she's offered a way better opportunity to run her own kitchen. Every time Kami acknowledges or apologizes, she's reminded why she's at the Bear in the first place. Her love for cooking, and specifically his style of cooking and creativity. However, these apologies don't heal his behavior, especially when she knows they'll continue to happen. Just like how Kami apologizing to Cousin didn't undo all the hurt he caused.
Which is maybe why he repeatedly referred to me as a loser.
Richie, I apologize.
No, it's all good. I don't need your apology. I know how you feel now. No, you get the
Get the fuck out of here, Richie. I'm gonna send you the fuck home. Send you the fuck home, huh?
Don't you fucking touch me. Fucking baby.
Pick it up.
Yeah, you pick it up.
Pick it up.
Yeah, you fucking
pick it up, Richie.
It's kind of an abusive relationship, and because she's sacrificed so much, as have everyone, for the restaurant to be where it is, she's reluctant to do the thing that will make her happiest. I genuinely spent most of the time Sid was on screen screaming for her to leave. On top of that, you've got Kami receiving all the praise for a group project that was only successful because there was a whole group that invested into the success, or at the very least a success Sid had just as much of a hand in as he did.
It was excellent.
Thank you.
No, really, excellent. I mean, there was a scallop dish that was lights out, and it felt really new.
New, like,
not carmy.
well, it was both of us together, so.
Right. Well, it was really great.
They did everything as partners, and he's the only one receiving recognition, and he doesn't seem to even acknowledge that. only his name and his face is being shown. We have to talk about how Kami is literally just draining Uncle Jimmy's money. It's insane he's been allowed to go this far, because I would have shut this shit down ages ago. He's changing the menu every bloody day. He's buying insanely expensive ingredients just to throw away because he's not going to use them again. Throwing perfectly good bowls because they don't look identical, even though they're handmade, which would mean they're crazily expensive and would have been the motive and intention behind buying them in the first place. And he's so nonchalant about it, even though his insanely expensive taste almost led to Marcus being fired, which I'm sure he's not even aware about.
Why don't you fucking figure it out?
I'm trying to use less shit.
Okay, well, whatever you're doing, the R&D of that, it's fucking up.
Well, we're using the best shit.
Duh.
Don't duh.
Yeah,
No duh.
Don't buy fucking crazy shit and then use it once, Carm. It's so wasteful. Duh. Fucking duh.
Although I really loved episode 8, I didn't think the entire episode had to follow Natalie's labour at a hospital in a show about chefs. I also didn't need to spend that much time watching Jamie Lee Curtis. However, I will say that I enjoyed that we got to know more about Sugar, considering the fact that we've seen how chaotic her family is and the conflicting relationship she has with her mother, while she herself is about to be a mother. Having an episode dedicated to her relationship with Donna and how that's affected her, because in comparison to Kami, she seems to be more well-adjusted and conscious of not perpetuating the consequences of the mental illness that seems to run in her family. After watching that chaotic Christmas special, it's pretty self-explanatory why Sugar wouldn't want her mother anywhere near her during one of the most stressful and vulnerable times in her life. But at the same time, it's sad that during this moment, she's not able to rely on one of the people she should be able to rely on. And it's sad that she has to rely on her as a last resort. The moment Donna arrives, she begins to make everything about her. She's acting erratic, being pushy, embarrassing Natalie. And although you can tell some of this is coming from a good place, because the reality is, she's been through childbirth 3 times. But her delivery gives more mentally ill person than caring mother. And it's hard to take her seriously. In the beginning of the episode, once Donna shows up, you can feel this anxiety, but throughout the episode you can sense the tension relax. The more they communicated, the closer they got to the birth, the more they seemed to get each other, especially once Natalie was able to be honest with her mother about what her mental illness has done to her.
I'm always trying to make you happy. Mom, I'd make myself sick to make you feel better.
It feels like the moments they spent in that hospital room was the longest they've been able to spend time with each other in a long time. From Natalie being able to navigate her mum's mental illness and knowing how to nitpick what she should take from her. For example, using the breathing exercise, the ice chips, and getting an epidural.
Jay?
Yeah, I like crunchy.
Rosy grape.
Really good. Delicious.
Delicious.
Incredible.
And cheap?
This is like good ice too. Mom.
Yeah.
I think I want the Pitocin.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's probably the right choice. And maybe an epidural too.
Yeah.
Donna knowing when things aren't about her and leaving as soon as Pete arrives. It makes that interaction between Donna and Pete outside of the hospital room all the more special.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. What do I do?
And it sort of gives us hope that they may be able to have some semblance of a healthy relationship in the future. Also, just a shout out that the first person Natalie called apart from Pete was Sid, and I kind of love that growing relationship between them.
Call Sydney.
Calling Sydney.
One of my biggest gripe of the whole season is literally Claire, and she was barely even in it. Season 3 felt like there was an agenda, and I'm not on board. Apart from the fact that she's boring, we don't know that much about her, and she feels like an unnecessary additional character who feels forced into the show. What really bugs me about Claire is how she's portrayed as a more important character than she actually is. One minute she doesn't exist, the next minute Richie's her ride or die, Kami can't breathe or function without her, and she's integral to the bear, when the only person we've seen her spend any significant amount of time with, which isn't even that much, is Kami. It genuinely makes me wonder if the showrunners thought the audience would fall in love with her because they told us we had to. I don't think she would get as much hate as she does if the value of her existence in the show hadn't been so inflated to be consequential that a season with minimal plot was surrounded around how significant she is. Part of this is also the fact that the first 2 seasons seem to be going in the direction of Sid and Kami building their relationship, and no one can convince me that wasn't what was happening, or there wasn't intentional choices made to make the audience think that Sid and Kami would be going in the direction of a romantic relationship. And the sudden shift to Claire just feels like a reaction to steer viewers away from that, rather than a genuine building of their relationship, to make it believable that Claire is as significant as they're trying to claim she is. It feels like the writers spend more time telling us how cool and amazing Claire is than actually showing us. The reality is, whether Sid and Kami are romantic or just platonic, we've seen them have more chemistry, whatever that chemistry is, and we've seen more of what their relationship together is, more than we have between Kami and Claire. And without becoming one of the many professional Claire haters,
You could do this without me.
I couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, you could.
I wouldn't even want to do it without you. You know, you make me better at this.
You make me better at this.
for which it might already be too late. Although Claire isn't a manic pixie dream girl, her place in the show feels like she's had more significance as a plot device, not being on the show for the relationship between Richie and Kami, and where Kami is in season 3, than she's ever had actually been on the show. And whatever Kami and Sid's relationship is, it's established that it's significant to the show. I mean, she literally joined Beef just so she could work with him. We see a lot of them coming up with recipes together, building their core relationships that carry the show. And for Kami, in moments of distress and when he's having a panic attack, he thinks of her.
This is a good thing.
Hi, hello. You were the most excellent CDC at the most excellent restaurant in the entire United States of America. What are you doing here, I guess?
Until season 3 anyways. And although it makes sense that with Kami's character regression, he and Sid's relationship is different, he doesn't realize how different it is, how different he is. So it doesn't make sense that Sid used to be his calm and his peace, and all of a sudden now Claire is, with nothing significant happening to make that the case. As great as it was having an episode dedicated to Sugar, having a Tina backstory episode was captivating, especially in the way it encapsulated and illustrated the demoralizing physical and mental labor of job seeking and unemployment. Liza was able to portray the frustration and degradation it puts you through. She's got a family to help provide for, and being unable to do so unequivocally makes her feel a sense of uselessness, and that degradation makes her incapable of talking to others, which makes her lonely, partly because she feels like her husband can't understand what she's going through, but also it's humiliating to talk about your failures.
Can I tell you something?
Of course.
I lost my job.
I'm so sorry, honey.
I'm gonna find another job tomorrow. Everything will be okay.
And the thing is, she's not a failure. She kept a stable job for 15 years and she hasn't changed. The job market and the corporations are the ones who have. Or actually, they haven't changed that much and they're just as cutthroat as they always have been. Firstly, on a random weekday, she's fired from her job without so much of a warning or heads up, proving the reality that as much as corporations tell you your workplace is a family, even though they expect a notice period from employees so they can find a replacement, they don't exchange the same courtesy that would benefit someone in Tina's position. A working class mother who's just trying to provide for her family, And even spending over a decade with the company doesn't provide you any sort of respect. Tina's experience is a reflection of what plenty of people in the real world are experiencing today, and I'm sure plenty of people watched the episode and felt seen. And what's more discouraging for Tina is how disrespectful these companies today are. She's catered and conformed to how job seeking now works. For example, using LinkedIn, and these companies offer interviews for jobs that no longer exist without an ounce of respect or remorse for wasting her time and her money, because traveling all over Chicago trying to get a minimum wage job is expensive. She's not even being considered for jobs that she's overqualified for with 15 years experience because she doesn't have a degree.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did in my last job, so it's perfect.
Amazing. Well, let me grab some paperwork for you to fill out and we'll set up an interview. Do you have references on here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your BA?
Like from college?
I'm so sorry. They're actually really strict about that here. I know, it's super annoying, but they always try to promote from within, so all the new hires have to have degrees for, like, leadership potential.
But I did this exact job, like, for 15 years.
And she's got no one advocating for her because it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. This episode gave such an insight to Tina and her relationship with Sid, especially in season 1 when this young, new, crazy, talented chef shows up and she now feels the instability that lost her previous job. It makes their relationship development even more heartwarming as she's no longer projecting her insecurities and jealousy on Sid and is actually now willing to hone her culinary skills. I also really loved seeing Tina's origin at Beef and her first time meeting Michael, especially the callback to the picture Kami sent to Michael in episode 1 of this season.
Check that out.
What the hell is that?
I have no idea. No, my baby brother, he's a chef.
Fancy.
It was a cathartic moment for her to feel like she could finally unload what she'd been keeping in. It wasn't by choice, but that scene with Tina and Michael is the first moment since before she got fired. You see Tina without this debilitating anxiety and tension, and she's actually able to be happy. It was also great seeing Michael offering Tina a job, even though as the scene progressed it wasn't unexpected. John Bethno as Michael is so lovely and so charming, and it's easily recognizable why so many people in the show loved him and continue to do so after his death. He's kind of an example of doing right what they did wrong with Claire. I can believe why he's so beloved. We're not just told why, we're shown. It's also not overdone the way it's done with Claire. It feels like we get to come to the conclusion ourselves that Michael was amazing and significant to the lives of these people. In season 3, we feel a noticeable coldness that was non-existent in previous seasons. The Beef was a restaurant for the ordinary day-to-day people of Chicago. It was like this one big dysfunctional family that were good at what they did even if they were a mess. They argued but they liked each other. Their customers were ordinary people, families, some of which would have been regulars who they might have seen every day, and maybe even people they've known forever. However, the Bear now kind of feels devoid of that. When they shout at each other in the Bear, it's not the same as when they shouted at each other in Beef. Even just the physical surrounding feels sterile and almost hospital-like, and their customers are most likely not the same customers that were maybe regulars or even a part of the community at large. They're catering to a whole new demographic, which is exclusionary, because fine dining in itself is exclusionary. This has also created a disenfranchisement between the working class people who work at the Bear and the new customers, but this gets overlooked by the showrunners, even though that makes the show feel different to us viewers watching at home. When you watch Tina's episode 6, it's even more clear because Tina's gone from getting the job because at her lowest, she was able to get comfort from a shared working class experience and struggle with Michael, where she got to serve her community, people like her, to now working in a fine dining restaurant that her pay probably couldn't even afford her. They've become less for their community and more for Kami chasing his dream of getting a Michelin star at the expense of losing what was central to the Beef, family and community. Although season 3 definitely was not what I or a lot of people were expecting, and it was disappointing. Contrary to this video, I really do enjoy watching The Bear, and I think what made it special is how much of a breath of fresh air it was compared to other shows. And although in my opinion season 3 didn't live up to the expectations, which were insanely high, there were moments in it that showed what The Bear does best. And I hope that season 4 can go back to that. If you've made it this far, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and bye!